What's up, you all? I hope all is well with y'all today. You guys, today, as y'all can see by the title, we're going to be talking about this Willie Lynch letter here, because it's quite sick and utterly disgusting what has been done to us, and we don't even understand as a people why we have so much division amongst one another, why we can't come together. And as I was doing the video last night I posted it last night, I did it the other day. Well, actually, I did it days ago, but I just actually edited it and stuff the other day, and then I posted it last night. When I was because I be in here just thinking about stuff, and for the life of me, I just don't understand like why we run away from each other. Like I was mentioning in that video yesterday. So if y'all haven't saw the video yesterday, it's called "Wake Up, Black America. We are the descendants of the Israelites." You know, because when I was doing that video, and I had said in the video, do y'all want to know the reason why they say if you want to keep something from a black man, put it in a book, or a black person, period. If you want to hide any vital, good information, put it in the book, because if you want to hide something from them, you don't want them to ever succeed, put it in a book, because they'll never find it. They'll never figure out how to beat this game of life. They'll never figure out how to escape poverty, because we won't ever read it. And I understand from reading the Bible where that really comes from, because they deviate us away from reading Old Testament, because Old Testament tells the history of our people and many other books. And so me doing that video and that slogan, if you want to keep something from a black person, woo, it led me to this. I don't know. I never knew about the Willie Lynch letter. I don't even know about Willie Lynch. I know of the act of lynching, but I never heard about this. I don't remember learning that in school. It may have been taught. I just didn't. I don't remember much about history. So I'm learning through me getting in the Bible, through God leading me to the Bible. It's now also allowing me to connect history with this and to see where a lot of stuff stems from. So I don't know a lot, but I'm learning a lot about regular U.S. history, and then doing the correlation between the biblical history and this to see how it relates and what's what and all of that. And through doing that, I was led to this because somebody has said that something I came across, it said that slogan was in the Willie Lynch letter, even though I didn't see that slogan in here. But once I read this letter, I'm like, this is wild. I gotta read this to the people. I don't know if y'all ever heard about it. So if you did, good. If you don't, you're gonna learn today. I'm gonna break it down into two parts, because it's not real long. It's like only 4 pages, but I don't want to make the video super long, and then I want to break it down by two different parts. The part about how they wanted some. The first part is the making of a slave. So the first part is making of a slave. Let's make a slave. The cardinal principles for making a N-word. Y'all know the N-word. And then the breaking process of the African woman, the N-word marriage unit, possible interloping negatives, and the controlled language. How they use all these tactics that this is how, this is what we're facing within our community. This is what we're facing. So I was like, we're gonna read this. So we're gonna do the first part of making the slave, how they wanted to condition our minds to cause us to go against one another so that they can have more control. And this is, when I read this, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's just so sad, but one thing I see is like when you try that hard to break a person, one thing that life has taught me, when somebody is trying so hard to break you, it must be a great strength, an almighty strength that only the Lord can provide you with about yourself, that these people are so threatened by. Because why else are you working so hard to strip a person, to break their spirit? Why else are you trying to do so if they're not a threat? And that's why I say we need to know who we are. We need to learn who we are. Learn that we are God's chosen people. We are his people. We get our strength from him. Like Samson, we get our strength from him. We don't know how we just keep overcoming and overcoming. And they too don't know how they just overcome, how are they so resilient? How do they endure so much? Oh my gosh, we're going to get to that in the letter about like the mule. And it's just craziness to me because mules are said to endure a lot. But we're going to get there. That's going to be probably in the next video because that's towards the end of the letter. But everything about how to break the woman, because if you break the woman, you break the children. How they try to weaken because we don't understand how powerful we are as women. We don't understand. We don't understand our power. Yes, of course, our men are very powerful. But once we read this letter, y'all going to see everything that has actually been enacted on our community, everything for how we have our separated households and the product that comes at all of this is craziness. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So it says, Willie Lynch, The Making of a Slave. And I'm going to try to put y'all already know, I'm going to probably put the letter up there for you. And I'll link it in the description box so that y'all can download it and print it and do whatever you need to do. Because I went to the library and I printed out a bunch of stuff. Because I'm doing my research. When I tell y'all, like, I have ordered so many books. I got so much stuff because information has been spread. Let's read this because even with this, let's just read. But it's so much research to do. It's so much comparison. And God is leading me though. And that's one thing I can't say because I'm going to come with us with our real truth about who we are. Because we need to know. And we need to know why things are the way it is and how can we truly change the narrative for our people. So it says Willie Lynch, The Making of a Slave. And then let's talk about who Willie Lynch is. Let's pull it up right quick. So Willie Lynch, first of all, Willie Lynch was a British slave owner. He traveled to America in 1712 to deliver a speech to other slave owners to teach them cast iron methods on how to control their African slaves. So that's what this is about. So it says, this speech was delivered by Willie Lynch on the bank of the James River in the colony of Virginia in 1712. Y'all really listen up, and I'm going to try to read it not so fast because I get to talking fast, reading fast sometimes because my brain just moves 1,000 miles an hour. So I'm going to try to pace myself. But this, they didn't piss me off with this. So it says, this speech was delivered by Willie Lynch on the bank of the James River in the colony of Virginia in 1712. Lynch was a British slave owner in the West Indies. He was invited to the colony of Virginia in 1712 to teach his methods to slave owners there. The term lynching is derived from his last name. So it says, this is the letter this is Willie Lynch speaking to the people. So it says, greetings. Gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord, 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish. So this part stuck out to me because, okay, so I didn't know that the James River, now that I know, but I didn't know that the James River was named after King James, which is this Bible. And you hear he says, whose version of the Bible we cherish. And if he's an op, and I know I heard people slandering King James, and that's why when people bash the Bible, but y'all gotta realize this person might have put this particular Bible together, but he did not produce these words. When you do your real history, when you do your real reading, this stuff was written by the actual prophets Some of this stuff was written by actual Noah, by actual Moses, because God ordered them to write it down. He have ordered them to write down their testimonies, write down their, like he ordered Enoch as well, which it doesn't talk much about Enoch in here, but it talks about Enoch in here. And even some of the books of the Bible that was taken out of here, some of the books that was taken out, because they don't want us to know the all-knowing truth. They don't want us to know. And when you read some of the other texts, which I have, God has led me to all the books to get. And I still have like a couple more, but the ones I truly need, like the one that just came in the mail yesterday, baby, about this good old promised land. So we got a lot of that coming, but y'all got to understand the stuff that was in here, when he told them to write stuff down, just like, I mean, it's just so much, so much, because even when I was doing that, I'm doing so much research, and I'm also mapping things out. So I'm studying the history of the Ark of Covenant. So as I'm reading, the Ark is technically, at this point in time, it's our Bibles. But at one point in time, it was just the case that held the gold, luxurious, prized, sacred case that held the the stones of the 10 Commandments. And God ordered them to write down either on rock, carve into the rock this saying, carve into the rock these instructions, carve into the rock the story and the information on plates. Like we see the 2 plates that the 10 Commandments was initially written on, and those were stored in the Ark of Covenant. And that's what was sacred. It was holy because it was what the Israelites were supposed to use as their guide through beating war and beating everybody and defeating their enemies, and just instruction for them to hold on to as long as they live. Which is why now this is called the Bible, the basic instructions before leaving earth, because this is supposed to be your guide. And if you really read this, I always tell y'all, I know it's real because I'm living it. I'm living it. So you can't tell me it's not true. I don't care if you say the white man wrote it, King James, this, that, and that. The white man runs everything in the physical sense, but nothing in the spiritual sense. So you got to understand that everything he's doing, once again, that stuff comes from the creation of God. Nothing that the white man can do, none of it is through his own doing. He has to resource everything that source has provided mankind with. So you have to understand that. And if y'all will believe, y'all get on the internet that the white man made, and you believe everything that you hear on there, and you believe everything that you appreciate the white man for writing your checks, you believe in that piece of paper, you believe in everything. So believe in this. Believe in this, because it's the word of God that God spoke to his chosen people to translate onto the text. Onto paper, onto scrolls, and not even originally this paper. And the stuff was stored up in caves and underground. Why do you think when they find treasures underground? They look underground for treasures because the ancient ancestors before buried stuff underground, which is another thing that I just as time go on, I'm going to be bringing that to you. But in our cities, in New York, some pivotal information has been buried into the ground. True treasures are stored underground. And why do you think archaeologists go digging? Why do you think they're digging? They go digging for information, for the truth. They go digging. And then, yes, someone translate. And when people translate, sometimes they can get things wrong, get things misconstrued. Because if you ever played the game of telephone, you know how that works. You start off with one message, by the time you get to the end person, somebody then translated something wrong. That's just how it happens. But when you know God, he leads you to the all-knowing truth, and he make things clear, because God will provide wisdom, clarity, understanding, knowledge, and discernment. Those are gifts that God always will provide. So when you understand that, you understand this is real tea. And then they have put it in the books. But it had threw me for a loop when I read this, because it's like, if you're an op and you cherish this version, and I know, because when I told y'all I read from both Bibles, like when I'm doing my reading, I have this up, and then I have the NIV version up at the same time. And I'll read NIV and I'll read King James version together. And some stuff they'll switch out certain words, and it's like so irritating because you just know. I mean, I speak fluent sarcasm. I know fugazi when I see it. It's just a gift from God. And so when I'm reading, I'm like, they really try to play. They try to switch that because they want people to be confused. They don't want people to find out the truth. They don't want people to find out the truth. They don't want that because they want to manipulate, like we, won't finish reading here. But as I be reading, I'm like, why are they switching out? Like, why you can't just keep it consistent? Why are you changing up the spelling of names? Why are you changing up whole names, taking stuff out that was never, this version say this, but this version say this? Like, keep it consistent, but they don't keep it consistent because it's all part of the plan. When you translate it, because many people can't understand this lingo in here. So when they translate it to NIV version, they like, not all of it is changed, but they'll do it. Unless you read both together, then you won't understand what I'm saying. But if you believe and trust that as the truth teller, I'm telling you the truth, you're going to know, like, yeah, it's some craziness. And like he said here, for as our boat sails south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish. It's like, why do y'all cherish that version so bad? You know what I'm saying? Because and I actually like that version only because I like the way it's their language is like, I like the sarcasm. Like, I like sarcasm and I understand it because I speak fluent sarcasm. So it's like, I can tell when you like being smart and some of the stuff that they say, and it just be, and I like when God says certain things, because it just be funny to me. So when I read this, I'm like, why do y'all cherish that? And you're an op. So if you cherish this, and this is why I did hear people slandering that version because of who this king was. But first of all, a king does not overrule God. Kings need to go to God. Kings are like your presidents. Like I always tell y'all, they too go to seek counsel from the prophets who only give the word of God. Prophets know more than a psychic, all of that, these tarot readers and all of that crap. Prophets get the word directly from the Most High. So they like to go to real spiritual leaders that really know, because the kings don't be knowing. If you read your Bible, you know that the kings, they had to seek out the prophets to know what was coming, to know how to prepare for war that was coming against them. The prophets was coming to warn them how they was getting ready to get got because of their own iniquities and transgressions of the Lord, because they get into these roles and start thinking that they are God, and no king in life is ever God himself. You can never be. So anyhow, let's finish reading. So it says, as our boat sails south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. And now I need to do some more research on that, because I'll be studying the rivers and everything, because that's the true tree of life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a whole nother thing. But now that I know that, it's making me have more questions. So I just be in here researching so much. And that's why I be working my brain so hard. And sometimes I just be having to take a nap because it'd be just too much brain work, putting two and two together. And then I got all these books be open. I just had to close up all this stuff because there's just so much stuff all over my desk. But anyhow, let me keep going. It's just like, as I read, sometimes that's why I say when you read something again, sometimes stuff stick out that didn't stick out the first time. And now it's like, okay, y'all. So my baby was calling me. But yeah, if he up, then he cherished King James version, probably because maybe he really was up too. But anyways, it says, as our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its highways in great numbers, you are here using the tree and the rope on occasions. I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple miles back. You are not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are unalived. So he said, gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I don't need to elaborate. I'm not here to enumerate your problems. I'm here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. He says, I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. Those are the three issues that plagues our community. We don't trust one another. We will trust them before we would trust our own. We don't trust one another. We envy one another. We fear one another. And we let the spirit of fear stop us from achieving more, which is nothing but a trick of the enemy. I tell y'all all the time, if you have faith, you can't be on both sides, because God is of faith. If you serve God and you believe in him and you really serve him and you really trust in him, you have faith. For it says you must have faith the size of a mustard seed. You have to have faith. When you have fear, that is a trick of the enemy. When you have fear, that'll make you do things that you shouldn't do. When you have fear, that'll prolong your blessings from coming to you. That'll make you stay stagnant in life because you're fearful of the unknown. So you're going to just stay where it might not even really be comfortable, but it seems comfortable because that's all you know. You'll stay stagnant because of fear of what you might lose versus the faith in what you may gain, even if you take a temporary loss. So it says, these methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but it's there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, sizes of plantations, status on plantations, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on a hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short. Let me finish reading this before I break it. Now that you have a list of differences, he listed all the differences of us because we come in varieties. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. The black slaves are receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. So let me just finish reading, then we're going to go into all of that. So it says, don't forget you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. But it is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love and respect and trust only us. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children to use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. Thank you, gentlemen. So before I finish, because this was the main letter here. And then he goes into the other stuff. But do y'all see what he said here? He said, and this is what's plaguing us. This is why we go head to head. What he say? Let's start off with what he said. Let's break this thing down in layman's terms. What he say? He said, take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age. We use age against one another all the time. We use age because we feel like, oh, you younger, I can easily manipulate you and get you to do wicked things. We got the older women versus the younger women. Look online. Look at this cattiness that goes on online. You got the younger women, you got the older women jealous of the younger women. Only because the men, and then if you think about it, even our men has adapted this type of mindset of this type of man, the white man. You've adapted some of their traits and they use that as manipulation against our own women to keep the young women from trusting them with the older women telling them, because they tell them that the older women just bitter, that they laugh. And even though, I mean, some women are bitter, but they use it to keep the younger from trusting the older. In the job force, look at how you got older. When a younger person come in, the older people be threatened by that younger person. They be threatened. Not all of them, but this is just what it is. You know? So they use age. They use the second is color or shade. Look at we have it all the time. Light skin, like they said, light skin versus dark skin. Brown skin versus dark skin. Brown versus light. They try to keep comparing us against one another. Even how they try to make us as Black women as a whole, as a collective, no matter what your shade is, they try to use us against the Latino women or against white women. They want us to feel down here compared to those women because men might choose those women. They see them as exotic. They try to use these tactics. Meanwhile, those men see us as exotic. You'd be surprised at things, which is why these ones that he said here, and tell your overseers to never trust the Black ones, which is why some of them very overseers was sneaking around too. Which is the same reason why a lot of them white women be hating on the Black women too. Because if you hate this person so much, if this person is such scum, why are you doing things with them? Why are you doing said things to them? Why are you even attracted enough to the point where you want to even stick your thing in it? Why? But color and shade, intelligence. Men, a lot of our men who don't go get education, they threatened by the women who go get education. They don't want you to thrive because they haven't thrived. Not realizing that they too can thrive. They too can get education. They too can thrive. They too can do the same things. Size. They compare us by sizes. Height. Just like you got, like with the women, you know, men feel inferior of one another. Men feel, you know, ways about one another because short men get, they get criticized over the taller men. You know, look how we got so much of that going on. All tall men versus short men. Short women versus small women. Fat women versus the skinny women. This body shape, look, it says next, or size, sex. But with the size, skinnier women or curvier women versus this type of women. BBL women versus the natural women. Natural hair versus wigs. Natural nails versus fake nails. Tattoos versus no tattoos. Like all the stuff that we use to put us against one another, to try to make somebody feel less than, all it does is create strife within us as a whole and keep us separated and divided. And if we stay divided, we can never come together for the greater good to build our communities back up. to come together to thrive in our own neighborhoods so we can run our own stores, so we can have our own grocery store, so we can stop relying on them and what they feeding us. And what they feeding us, they feed us poor quality, especially in our neighborhoods. They're going to bring only the lowest quality of things in our neighborhoods that produce the most diseases within us. But we don't want to come together. We don't want to come together so that we can work together to climb to the top, because we were designed to be the head and not the tail. We were the ones, when I was reading yesterday, I'm like, them Canaanites, all Canaan's sons, the Jebusites, the Hittites, Canaan's sons, they were the ones that were the slaves. They were the slave workers. And us, our folk, our ancestors, the Israelites, because we are their descendants, they were the ones that were the free men initially. You know, they were the ones that were the overseers. They were the ones, they were the chief of captains. They were the ones that held these high-ranking positions. They were the ones. They are the overseers. And the role has been reversed. We were supposed to be the head, not the tail. Now we the tail and not the head. We were supposed to be the lender, not the borrower. Now we the borrowers. Now we the borrowers. Now we got to wait. We can't make nothing shake. And that's what makes me mad about our community, is because we need our own everything. We need our own everything. We need to be having our own phone companies. Our men or women, but really like our men, more of you guys need to be in school going to get your tech. And when you get in tech, stop trying to climb the white man's ladder and start your own companies in tech. Hire your own folks, train your own folks. But you know why we can't do that? Because like he said, the number one thing that he uses is, he said, I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. So we can't even work together, because when we come together, you got one envying another. You got one that's willing to backdoor another for the love of money. You don't care that you're going to snake out your own sister, your own mother, your own daughter, your own father, your own son. You don't care how you're going to do that because of the love of money. We're not realizing if you be trustful, and when you're trusting, when trust is everything, if you can trust people, you can build. A lot of us don't deal with each other because we can't trust one another. And all that does is keep us divided. And now what he said, we have to be self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years. And when everything is about self, we can't collaborate together. It takes longer to attain things. It takes longer when you have to do everything by yourself. I'm living it now. It takes so long because I can't find a person to come together with for me to do this stuff that I want to do, because I got to do everything by myself. I got to learn all the information myself. Even with this now, I'm like, I got to be responsible for all this reading, knowing I got ADHD dang near, and it's hard for me to stay focused, but I got to try so hard to stay focused on top of being a mother, on top of all of this other stuff, on top of worrying about how my bill is going to be paid, even though with that, that's where that faith come in at, to know that God told me to do this mission, and as long as I'm working in my assignment, I know for a fact he got me covered. He got me covered because he don't want me having to go back into what he pulled me out of, because he pulled me here to do this very thing that I'm doing right now. So as long as I'm staying and walking in my purpose and my calling, he's surely going to have that provision, supply that provision for me. And this is what we need to understand. But we can't come together because we're so separated. We're so jealous of one another. We see one climbing, we want to bring them back down. We so pressed to humble somebody. And even with the Buppies, because I was reading about that. That's what W.E. Du Bois. I was reading about one of them articles. I'm going to be coming with a couple articles reading to y'all, because it was this other article I was reading the other day. And to see what I don't know if it was a white male or female that wrote it. They was talking about us, like, and they said, and even like I told y'all in that housing project video, that at the end of it, he was like, and they know that the black man or black woman, the black person will never even read this article. They said that again in that other article. Everything that he was saying about our issues, and about our issues, and he said they won't even read this letter. They be thrashing us in these letters and stuff. And I'm like, whole time I'm reading it. I'm going to read it to my people. They don't have to read it. I'm going to read it to them. I'm going to read it to them. You know, but he said they use age, color, intelligence, size, sex, sizes of plantations, Oh, you, even how we do. Oh, you live in an apartment. I live in a house. Oh, like we do so much comparing to one another as if any of us is better. Oh, you drive that kind of car. I drive this kind of car. Oh, you work that kind of a job. I work this kind of a job. Because you work there, like we'll condemn our own people for all type of stuff. When it's this other post that I saw the other day. I'll probably put it up on the screen, but it was saying something like, Black people, we spend so much time trying to destroy one another or act like we're better than one another when we all are, or we're trying to act like we're having a competition of who can hide their poverty the best or something like that. And I'm like, it's so true. When the white people looking at us, they see that even if you wearing designer, you living in the hood still. So you don't even have real true intelligence. Even if you making hundreds of thousands of dollars, you still don't own nothing. So they still laughing at you. Even when y'all like try to compare the single baby mamas to the married women. Because I saw one video one time, the girl was talking about how the white women, I guess, was looking at her. Or she made a comment to her. And she had a ring on, but her husband wasn't with her. You think that because you have a ring on, that's going to make them value you anymore, accept you into their spaces anymore just because you have a ring. It does not matter. That does not matter. They still look at you as an N-word. Both of you and your husband as an N-word. Don't want you in their parts of town. Yes, we have some people that, are welcoming of us, and all of that, because it's not everybody. But the majority of them, is still a lot of racism going on behind the scenes. When it comes to you versus them, if it's only you and your partner around a whole bunch of them, you think they choosing your side over their people? Negative. More times than not, they're not. So you trying to find your way we try to find a way for us, one of us to seem better than the other. Oh, I got a degree and you don't, so I'm better. Oh, I'm married and you're not, so I'm better. Oh, I've been married, because some women, feel like, oh, even I don't care if I'm divorced. I've been married and you haven't. At least somebody proposed to me, so I'm better than you. Meanwhile, you still are left by yourself. You still are left with the crap end of the stick too. You still left with the burden of the kids all by yourself too. You're still a married single mother too. You still have to bear all the weight of the children by yourself too. And you too still have to provide majority for your household, because a lot of Black women are the breadwinners in these relationships with their men. Truth be told, they the ones taking care of the man and the kid. So you still operating as a single mother. You just got a living babysitter with you. That's the difference. And you got some in-house peen. That's the difference. We try to find so many reasons why we better than one another, but they looking at us all like we the same, because we don't have the true financial intelligence. We don't own nothing. And that's what I was saying about W.E. Du Bois, because in that article, it was like they call them the Buppies, which is the rich Black folk who, when they make it, they don't try to build back up their own communities or something like that, or they try to look down on the rest of their people instead of reaching back to help pull them up. And I do understand to a degree, because sometimes when you come out and you're trying to pull people up, they don't want to listen. We are so prideful in our community. The 7 deadly sins is plaguing our community. We don't want to listen because we feel like, who are you? Who are you? You look like this. Even with this just goes to show that it's a difference in mind between rich and wealthy. And a lot of these celebrities that been mating, they getting money now, like Tommy. I don't know if y'all saw that video. Tommy, who was on Love and Hip Hop, and she a mess too. She just dressed up trash bucket. Like I always say, you looking nice on the outside, you done invested into your outside, but you haven't invested to your inside, and you haven't invested into this. And we know that our people, like it says in Hosea, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. She was messing with Tamar's husband or something. Her boyfriend. I guess while they was on a break or something I seen up there. And she clowning the white man. It was a white man. Tamar's boyfriend is a white man. He owns a law firm, and you can tell he getting money. He a businessman. And Tommy she tried to say she tried to throw shots at him because he paid for their date. Because she went on a date with him, I guess, while him and Tamar was on a break. And then she beefing with Tamar because or whatever. And Tamar called her something out her name and all of that. And so she got on the internet, saying, well, your man ate my this. Y'all know how the women do. And she said, your man lives in a middle-class house. Mind you, he owns a whole law firm. And the thing is, and then this is the other thing she said that really threw me. She said he paid in points. We look at stuff like that and think that they're broke because they do things the wise way, the wealthy way. They value money and they do different with their money, which is why they're wealthy and we're not. You might make a lot of money. She even said something about how he drives a Bentley and she drives a Rolls Royce or flip. So I don't know if it might not have been her drive. I think she said she drive a Rolls Royce and he drive a Bentley, or maybe he drive the Bentley. Flip it however way it is. But she trying to condemn him because he lives in a middle class house and he paid for their dinner, I guess, in points. Not realizing that's a true flex. Not realizing that's what the real wealthy do. The real wealthy are not wearing all their money like rich people like to do. They don't have to try to look rich because they really are. They don't spend their money on liabilities. They spend their money on assets that you have to rent out. 9 times out of 10, I bet you she's renting whatever the mansion is that she live in. She's renting it. And guess who's benefiting off of that? The wealthy, the owner. They're benefiting off of that. They getting the true tax breaks off of that. They're the ones really winning. They can go out and buy that same thing. They'll live in a smaller house because they want to put their money in true investments. They're owning the apartment buildings that you have to go out and slave once again in their companies. We're working in their companies that they own. They own these companies. We have to slave, miss our children's best times of their life, their events and everything, to go slave, work jobs for them. And then we come home and the money from our paychecks go right back to them again because we consumers and we buy up everything that they create. We buy their technology. We buy all of their things that they create. We spend our money at their grocery stores because we don't own no grocery stores. We don't be owning no farms. And if we do own farms, we ain't starting our own grocery stores in our own communities. We don't own the stuff in our communities. We don't own the housing that we live in. So we make our money from them, and then we have to give our money right back to them. Because the apartments that we live in, they own it. We don't own it. A person with any shade of our color don't own it. But yet she didn't realize, when she said, this is why they play with us like that. Because she thought she ate, but you really just showed that, dang, you a delinquent for real. You making all that money. So what do you be doing with yours? Just investing it into your body, but you're not investing it into your brain. You're making them richer. That's that other article that I'm going to read to y'all. But you're making them richer. Paying with points. If you get a lot of points, that means you must spend a lot of cash. You must spend a lot of money on your credit cards. They understand how to properly use credit cards. They know how to properly use debt. We use debt. We go into debt to impress one another, to look like one of us is doing better than one another, when we all be in the same boat in a bunch of debt, consumer debt, not business debt, that you investing in businesses that's actually bringing in profits and good revenue that you can actually have a profit after, that you can then invest back into the business or invest into other real estate. We don't even produce the cash flow. Meanwhile, they do. They invest their money in methods that make them more money. They keep it going. That's how they able to avoid paying some of these taxes. They keep investing it back into other properties, back into real property, back into businesses. And then the cash flow that they get from this business, that business every month, they're able to go out here and buy the luxurious things. We want to buy the luxury first and don't have nothing to really show at the end. And we wonder why the generational wealth gap is huge between us and them. We want to look like something, but we really don't mean nothing. On that tip. But this is the stuff that they use to keep us divided. You look like you making more. I might come on here looking like a raggedy shirt. So you'll think, oh, you got less because you looking like this, or you drive this and I drive that. Child. Meanwhile, you're in major debt over that. Like, and this is paid off cash. Like, but this is what we be thinking. You're one paycheck away from losing everything, but yet you want to act like you above somebody else who maybe have paid their stuff with cash and they don't need that next paycheck. If they get fired today or tomorrow, they still gonna be good because they paid their stuff off. They don't have a bunch of consumer debt. But we think we better than one another, not realizing they looking at all of us the same. Like, they can't have an intelligent conversation with you because you're not even going to understand what they're saying. Because we only pay attention to entertainment. That's what I notice about social media. I'm like, sometimes I'll be like, why do God want me up here? These people our people that you want me talking to, all they care about is entertainment and lies. They don't care about the truth. This stuff is boring to them. But then they'll be the same ones sitting back complaining. And when they see their other kind climbing, they're wondering, they thinking that they scammed their way to the top, even though some people do be scamming their way to the top. But we don't really want to really hear truth. Everything is about entertainment. Everything is about paying attention to celebrities and what they doing and criticizing their life as if you're not living that same treacherous life behind the scenes. As if you don't know a bunch of people that's going through that same thing in your own life, or maybe you going through it too. Or maybe you connecting with these people because you feel like, oh, at least they stuff a little bit. That's how we do it. Oh, mine ain't as bad as that. I got this going on, but it ain't as bad as them. That's how we do. And it is sad. So they use the sizes of the plantations, the attitude of owners, whether they live in the valley, on the hill, east, west, north, south, have this kind of hair, fine hair, coarse hair, or tall or short. Like I said, we judge if you live in an apartment or if you live here. If you live in the suburbs or if you still live in the hood. Or if you live here, like, this is the stuff, the things that he implemented on slaves to start separating them so that they couldn't come together to try to find out an escape plan. So that they couldn't come together to talk about nothing. They silenced one another because they made them not trust one another. If you don't trust one another, you can't come together to talk about nothing, which means that they can always manipulate. That's how they even do. Even in like the workplace, they tell you don't talk about how much you get paid with your your coworkers. Why? So we can't come together and figure out what the real issue is with the company. The people that try to keep you silent and try to keep you separated is because they don't want you to come together for the greater good. Because we don't understand that popular sovereignty is a real thing. Majority rules. So if we come together, they keep us separated. We can't bind together to come against them. And we don't understand our power that if we would come together, that's a threat to them. They don't want us to come together. They don't want us to come together. They want, even if they want to, for one, keep the black man from the black woman. Like he said here, don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male. Our young men don't like the old men. Old men don't like the younger men because maybe they getting the girls, or maybe they getting more money, or maybe they smarter, or maybe they didn't went and got education that the old man ain't got. And the young men, they don't want to listen to the old men. The old men trying to teach you how to do things that a man should do. You don't want to listen to him because you so arrogant, you so prideful, because you think that you in your best years, and you just, if you take some wise counsel from him, he might help you avoid some of them pitfalls that you're creating for yourself. You must pitch the young male against the black male. You must use the dark-skinned slave versus the light-skinned. You must have the female versus the male versus the female. That's the major one that's going on. Keep us against one another. Keep us hating one another. A lot of men envy women that are more successful than them. And that's why I tell, like, men, y'all need to wake up and find your purpose. You need to get with God, your creator, the one who created you in his image. The one who gives you your strength. The one who wakes you up every morning. You need to get with him. You need to get with your creator first thing in the morning. And before you lay your head down at night. And midday, when you're sitting on the toilet. You need to get with your creator. You need to pray. You need to fast. You need to put your focus on purpose versus your focus on her panties. How to get her panties off. That's what you need to focus on. Because when you get into your purpose, you're going to attract the right one that's coming around to actually love you, respect you, and build with you, not just take from you. Because then y'all be the same ones chasing after girls who only after you for what you can do for them. And then when they take everything from you and dip off to the next man that has more than you, now you butt hurt. It's like, when are we going to see the cycles of things? And that's why I don't understand about men. That's why I can't feel sorry for them. And they don't feel sorry for us. When we go deal with Pookies and Ray Rays and all of that, some of them don't feel bad for us, because it's like, you went chasing after that because you lusting of the eyes because of what looked good, what seemed good, that really ain't no good for you. You didn't use your intuition. You didn't listen to your discernment because your lust was so on overdrive that you didn't care about nothing else. You didn't care about the reality of things. You wasn't thinking ahead. You only think about right now, that right now feeling, that instant gratification that us as Black people love to have. We love instant gratification. Not thinking about how this instant gratification is going to lead to your demise in the end. You're not thinking about 5 years from now. You're not thinking about a couple months from now, how if I sleep with this person today, tomorrow I might wake up with an STD. Tomorrow this girl might be pregnant. Tomorrow I might be pregnant with this man. He already doing this stuff to me now. If I go walking down the aisle with this man now, it's only going to get worse. If I go walking down the aisle with this woman, it's only going to get worse. Her attitude is only going to get worse. She's only going to get more comfortable. She already did this to me now. And then instead of thinking that stuff is going to get better, because they say, oh, make it work, we force things until the point of no return. And then when it's at the point of no return, now we hate one another. And now we want to destroy one another. When you should have let it go when it was time to let it go. And stop listening to this false stuff about forcing things to work. Because when stuff is supposed to go, it just go. It just glide right on there. The puzzle piece just fit right into the piece. You don't got to force it if it's meant to go there. Like I said in that video. But because I already made this video long, we're going to do the Let's Make a Slave part and cardinal principles for making an N-word. We're going to do that in a separate video. So this is actually going to be a 3-part video. Because I don't want to make them dumb long. So it's going to be a 3-part video. Because we need to know, y'all got to hear the rest of this. Y'all have to hear the rest of this. But this is the foundation of our problems here. If we don't even ever read none of the rest of this, this is the foundation of our problems. It is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. And we do. We put more trust in them than we do each other. We depend more on them. We don't have no problem if we sitting in the car and see a white dude pass by us, walking up or come up knocking on our window. But if we see our own kind, we like lock the door, get prepared for robbery. And it's sad. You know, but this is what has been implemented on us, and it's destroying us. It is destroying us. And a lot of us have very low self-esteem, very low worth because of these very tricks that has been played on us for generations. For generations. We don't understand the evil force that is behind our separation. We don't understand. We don't understand that we're under the curse. And that's why I said in that video yesterday, the one thing God wants us to do, because we are his people, he chose us. Well, we are the fewer, but we are the ones that he chose to be the Lord our God. We're under a lot of this because of this very thing here. You know, as I think about so much, like I told you, I like to get to the root of everything. I don't care about surface level. I get to the root. Where did it start? What started this? I don't care about the aftermath. How did this big blow up even start? How did this happen? Work your way to the root of your issues. Work your way to the root. It's uncomfortable, but it needs to be done. And when you get to the root, you're going to realize you're going to be looking at other people sideways. You're going to be looking at like, oh, mama, daddy, myself. Look within first and foremost. But even with the down to the whippings, to see how, you know, all of this stuff that we do on our own kids, how we talk, because look at what was done to us. Slavery has we don't realize how the trauma that has been passed down through the bloodline and the curses of the bloodline. We don't understand how what we do impacts the next generation. We don't understand how what has happened generations back is actually affecting us. It's affecting why we have toxic parent-child relationships, toxic relationships amongst one another, sibling rivalry, putting siblings against one another. Because of this very things here. What do you get? These traits, like he said, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or overseer can use it. Any member of your family has used this to create division amongst their own children. Demonic, narcissistic parents create division amongst their children all the time. They'll make you feel like you're better. Or you have the lighter skin, or maybe you have the darker skin, or maybe you look just like your dad, and I don't like your dad. So now I'm going to treat you mean because you look like him and he left me for this one. Or all this goofy stuff. And we'll put our kids against one another. Or you're intelligent. Oh, you went and sought more education than I did. So now you got a parent that will be envious of their own child because they doing more than what they did. Intelligence. And one thing I'm learning, because I like people really being threatened by your intelligence. They can have more physically than you. They can have more stuff than you. They'll be threatened by your resilience, by your strength, by your faith, because you believe in things that you don't see and you work towards it no matter what nobody is saying. They can't easily get in your ear. They can't easily manipulate you like this man was able to get them slave owners to do. You can't easily manipulate me. They will get mad at you because they can't easily manipulate you. People will really get mad at that type of stuff. But that stuff has been passed down. The beatings that they have had to endure generations ago, subconsciously, you just do that to your own because this is how they had to whip them in shape. So how are they going to try to whip their own kids in shape? Well, they whipped us in shape like this, and that got us to get in alignment and for us to do right. So let's whip our kids like this. The worst thing you can do for me is try to control and manipulate me. That is going to make me rebel. That is not what you want to do. If you want me to trust you, like the way he used, like he said, but it is necessary. He said, you must also have your white servants and overseers to distrust all blacks, but it is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. People will try to put fear into you and create all these, try to just strip you and try to compare you against other people to create jealousy. I realized that within, relationship, because you can't make me jealous by trying to talk about another woman. You can't I know who I am and I know what I bring. And I know if you trying so hard to pin me against this person or you trying to lift this person up to make me feel bad, that don't work because I don't care about her. The best thing you can do for a person like me is be real, be 100, be authentic. Do what's right. Don't manipulate. Just do right. And if you can't do right, move on to that. Because I'm the type that's gonna say, go ahead, move on. Go do that. I'm not pressed to have nothing or nobody. I've been by myself. Like I say, self-refueling and self-generating. I've been self-refueling all my life. Because had I left it to other people, man, I would have been trying to take myself out of here. I had all the criticism and stuff I didn't face. Man, I'm not, you can't do that. You can't break me. I'm unbreakable. And you can even try to get me out of this body right here. But because I've been granted eternal life by the Most High, guess what? I'm coming back again. Hopefully I won't come back into the human body again. I don't want to come back into the human body. But I'm coming back again. We're going to spin again. So you can take me out because I now understand I understand death. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm not afraid of it. Because guess what? I'm coming back. So you might, if you come back again, you might have to face me again. Or your your descendants might have to face me in a different body again. So I ain't worried about that. I ain't worried about that. But it's just sad because this is what happens. And I even see like men do this a lot against women. Women, we do this against men, want to compare to men and make you feel less than that one, or to try to use it as a manipulation tactic to control you, to get you in line, to get you to do this. We'll do these things to one another. We use these same very manipulation tactics on one another. Even like if y'all know Blueface and Krishan, I'm sure y'all know about them, how he uses one to try to get the other back, and then the other to try to get her. And then now you got them competing for the spot. Now they both got neck tattoos. Jaden trying to become like Krishan because she like, this girl got you so hooked. Let me try to start doing stuff like her. Let me get sassy like her. Let me do some of that stuff like her. Because there's something about her that you like. So you're trying to make them hate one another. And just so you can still win. So they can keep fighting for you to trust only in you. And not to trust each other. And not to come together for the greater good for them. That's why he was butthurt seeing them link up the other day. Because people want to create, so people who sow discord, and that's one of the things that God hates. One of the 7 abominations to him is one who sows discord against family, and especially just against people, period, against the community. Because we are technically family. We under one breed. And we be trying to sow discord against one another, especially in families. Like I say with that narcissism stuff, you try to make one like so many families do this. This is why we have the black sheep. We the black sheep and then the scapegoats. Because they try to put one person, try to kick you down. Try to place all the blame on you. They don't want to hold nobody accountable. You just sowing discord between your own kids. And then you wonder why the kids grow up and don't deal with you. Or you don't know why the siblings are not close. Why they don't get together. Because it's something that the head, as parents, we are the head. I'm the matriarch of my family. I'm not going to have that. I already tell my daughters now. Y'all can fuss and fight, but y'all know y'all stick together. Even sometimes if I get on one, the other one, my 7-year-old, she be like, come here, Ari. Like, she be like, don't do that to her. Like, if anything, yeah, y'all better come together against me. Like, don't try to play though, because I will knock both of y'all out if y'all get out of line. But I don't sow discord between them. I'm not that type of parent. I just can't get down with stuff like that. That is wicked to me. That is wicked to me. I'm not sowing discord between my children. They need to love each other. We need to all love one another and hold each other accountable. When one do something wrong, we're real with it. Ain't no sowing discord and ain't no jealousy. I'm not jealous of none of my children. As they grow older, these are my babies. I don't understand how there's parents that are envious and jealous of their own children. They're yours. Well, for a short while until God called them back home, God lent you them to take care of them. He entrusted you to do right by them. So do that. And if you don't, you will pay. Yes, it says honor thy mother, thy father. And it also says right after that, fathers, aka mothers too, do not provoke your children to wrath. Don't make them feel unsafe with you. They're supposed to feel safe with you. It's natural instinct for children to want to be with their parents. It's natural instinct for them to long for their parents. Even children that have been adopted, one day they're going to go seeking for their biological parents because it's just innate. You want to know where you come from. And many of us don't really know where we come from. We don't know who we are. And that's what we're going to get to in the next letter. So I'm about to finish recording these videos right after this, but because this one already long, I'm not gonna make it longer, but I'm about to keep doing them, and then I'm gonna just drop them over the next couple days. I'm gonna go check on his baby, see what she doing. She down there singing or whatever. But that's what we're gonna get to too. So y'all watch this series. This gonna be a good it's going to be a good, I guess, it might be a good 3 or 4 videos. So this is going to be the series, the Willie Lynch series that applies to our people. Because this is what has been done. And it's sad. And we got to get it together. Have integrity. And many of us don't have integrity. It's just sad. And it's hard. Once the trust is broken, it is. This is why he said that's what he wants to instill in them, this trust. Because it's hard to trust people once the trust has been gone. It's hard to do it. Because now it's like, you might set me up. You might steal from me. You don't care. Some people will really let Satan come in and use them. And this is where spirituality come into play, because you got to keep your armor on, your armor of God on, so you can fight against the wiles of the devil. You got to be able to fight against the devil's schemes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. And a lot of us be working with the enemy and not working with God. And as long as you do that, he will hand you over to reprobate mind and let you self-destruct. And then in the process, you want to also destruct those that are around you. And that's going to continue to create the distrust that we have for one another, which is going to keep us separated. We can't even, so many people, I see it online, like some of the groups that I'm in on Facebook, especially like financial groups, so many women complain that their man, don't want to work with them financially, so that you can climb ahead. It's like, why not? And that's why I love the couple, My Rich Journey. If y'all don't know about them, check them out on YouTube. I love them because I admire them able to come together, make up a plan. From the age of 30 to 40, they came up with a plan together so that they can retire by 40. And now they live in Portugal and own homes here and there. I just love that they was able to come together and trust one another. And that is something so beautiful. To trust one another, to even build an empire for your children, to build a legacy to leave behind once you're gone. They have stuff to be passed down to them. That's a goal of mine. And, it's harder when you do have to do it by yourself. It's harder when you have to do all the thinking by yourself, all the decision making, all the planning, trying to build it all by yourself. Imagine like one person trying to build a house. It's going to take much longer than if I can get a team to come build the house. It's going to take much longer, and this is why it says the Black slaves, after receiving this indoctrination, should carry on, will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years and maybe thousands. And it is harder when you're trying to do it by yourself. But like what the saying is, I can do bad all by myself. If you're going to be around me and you want to bring me down and you don't want to work with me, you're trying to work against me, you're an op. You're the enemy, because that's what the enemy does. The enemy wants to steal your peace. The enemy wants to destroy everything you're working hard to build. If I'm making all of this money, or we making the money together, and you going out here gambling it away, splurging it, when we supposed to be working towards a plan. But many of our men don't have a vision. Some of us as women don't have a vision. Where there's no vision, that people will perish because you don't have no goal in mind of what you're working towards. You're just living day by day, just surviving. You're not living, you're just surviving. And just taking stuff, just going whatever way the wind blow you. Versus having a straight and narrow path and having tunnel vision on that path and holding God's hand and letting him lead you down that path of righteousness that will benefit you and your children in the end. So I'm going to leave this here. I'm about to put her down for a nap, and then I'm going to finish doing it. So y'all see those next videos coming up over the next couple of days. So I'll see y'all in the next video. Deuces.